Baba has said that I am the Ancient One, eternally remembered and worshipped in the past, anticipated in the future, and ignored in the present. The Ancient One, he explains, is the first soul to journey through all of creation, moving from most limited consciousness to arrive at the goal of creation, infinite consciousness. Having achieved this, he has fully realized beingness, the God-man or Christ, experiences infinite bliss, infinite power, and infinite knowledge. At the same time, the God-man experiences himself bound in every form, and being that does not yet consciously know itself for what in reality we all are, one with the infinite, undivided ocean of love. The Christ, also known as the Avatar, comes into his own creation periodically to give all of creation a push forward spiritually and to awaken himself within all humankind, within the limits of an individual's own level of spiritual preparedness. It is the ultimate destiny of every being to come to experience that only God alone is real and is the true self of all illusory, finite selves. Meher Baba states that such beings as Zoroaster, Ram, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, and Mohammed are all the same manifestation, the same Ancient One, with the same message of love offered and expressed within the spiritual circumstances of each particular age. Age after age, with the passage of time, these various infusions of divine love become fossilized by custom, and the flow of love gets stifled by religions more concerned with ritual and doctrine than with the simple truth of surrendering to love alone. It is for this reason that the Avatar comes again and again to give a fresh dispensation of his love and truth. Welcome, brothers and sisters, to the Meher Baba program. I'm Fred Stankus, and we're pleased to have with us in studio today Amrit Irani, visiting from India. Amrit is a fashion designer of both clothes and jewelry, and as you can see, she has a wonderful outfit on, and besides talking about that, we'd like to talk to you about your life with Meher Baba. Welcome, Amrit.
Thank you, yes.
And you first found out about Meher Baba, what, through your family as a child?
Yes, I was born. Well, my parents, they were Meher Baba followers before I was born. So we heard about Baba, from beginning, from the childhood. But I remember him, when I was almost 3 years old. And those memories from that time, even though people say, when you're 3, you can't remember this and that. No, I remember Meher Baba very clearly till to date, that, how he looked and how beautiful he was. And, the special love he always gave to children. And then I didn't see him for, say, another 14 years, till the time I was 17. But as I was growing up, he was always there for me. He was always like a friend who's next to you, always helping you. And especially in moments when, I was very tomboyish, very full of mischief and all that. And in other words, will be in trouble so often, so hard to get out of that. So I always used to repeat his name, Baba, Meher Baba, help me. And somehow it seems like he always helped me. So that's how I was growing up till the time came. I was around 13, 14 or something like that, when that some sort of longing starts, this feeling, that strong feeling that you would like to meet him again and know him more, just not to take him for granted, not just, use him all the time for help and all that. And by the time Meher Baba, I'm from North India, which is the foothills of Himalayas, very pretty place. And Baba was living in Pune, which is in Maharashtra, central India, I could say. So there was no chance for us to meet him that often. But now, the longing, that feeling to meet him again, really was very strong. So I requested my father, and father said, yes, wait, the right time, we'll take you. One day we'll go and visit Meher Baba. till the time came when Meher Baba himself asked me to come and visit him in his ashram in Ahmednagar. And that was my, like after a long time, after 14 years, when I was 17 now, I saw him again. And to me, that experience, meeting him that day after so many years, was something, so beautiful, something, it's so difficult to explain when he's my God, and how to explain to you that how the God really looks like, what you feel deep inside you. But one thing was there, when I saw him after 14 years, he has aged, he looked really old. And when I first entered in his room, Meher Baba was I think around in his 70s that time. So when I entered his room, and I said, my God, that's not my Meher Baba. My Meher Baba, whom I saw at 3 years old, was so beautiful, so radiant, so, he was. Now this old man who's not only old, he's sick too, So that really sort of made me feel really sad, and there was nothing to me with my human eyes and all that. I couldn't see. I just saw an old man sitting there. I felt very sad. I wanted to leave. I didn't wanted to, just go away from there. And that moment, Meher Baba, who knew me, he knew I'm coming, visiting, as he had called us, me and my father. He raised his arms up, calling me for his embrace. And I have no idea when it happened. I did go for his embrace. And that embrace was not a sick old man sitting on the bed. He was such a strong, healthy person with so much love that the Meher Baba was dying to meet again, want to be with and spend time and learn something and be in his ashram. And I found him there on that moment, and I knew I'm with my beloved Meher Baba. So that was my, from childhood till.
So that brought you, though, to Ahmednagar to actually meet your future husband.
Yes.
Baba arranged you to meet Dara, who, by the way, is visiting Los Angeles with you. But Dara was introduced to you by Meher Baba. Is that correct? Could you tell us how that came about?
Okay, being Indian, it's very common in India where, your marriage has been arranged. And I had refused. I told my parents, please don't do that. I want to have a career. I wanted to learn things. I want to study. So I had told my parents. Plus, I was still very young, so there was no question of getting married and all that. But when I visited Meher Baba, one day just sitting and chit-chatting and all that, he asked me, would you like to marry my nephew? Actually, there was other, earlier than that, there was another talk similar to this. And he said clearly that I'm not giving you order. To me, Meher Baba, he could give me order and I would have done it. But he said clearly, I'm not giving you order. I'm just asking you, would you marry my nephew who lives in England? And he's almost blind. My husband, he's completely blind now. But that time he had a little bit sight. And for me, Baba's asking was more than an order to me. And I said, of course, Baba, yes, and that's how it started. And later on, after a few months later, Dara came down from England, and we met each other after we were engaged. You don't laugh. That's how it happened. Meher Baba was there, and Dara comes, and I was called from other side, and we didn't want to even. Then, of course, I wanted to see him, how he looks like, and I have seen his photographs, but my focus, and so is my husband now, Dara, we were both more, want to be, pay our full attention, or, just look at Baba, just not to care about, we're there. Baba was so important, and he loves Baba dearly too. So, when, after we were engaged, then somebody came and introduced us, So that's how we got engaged, and next day we got married. So, and I only did it because Baba asked me, otherwise, the story would have been a little different. And I'm really happy it happened this way because...
And you've been married now since how many years?
We've been married for 26 years now, and we got a 25-year-old son.
And you're here for his
wedding. He's getting married at the end of this month.
Oh, that's terrific.
Yes, yeah.
So going back to your childhood, were you ever thought about as a spiritual type of person? Because here you come to know the God-men of the age, and that's a very certified, rarefied air to be with, a person of that high level of consciousness. And were you sort of a spiritual type person when you're growing up, or what?
Yes, I would say yes. Even though as growing up, you're young, you have so many other interests in life. But yes, I always, as I said earlier, Meher Baba was always in my thoughts, in my mind.
Like your guardian angel.
Guardian angel, exactly. But more than that, I was typing, between my games and play and running around. I would spend a little time we had little Baba's room where it was like a little temple, you could call it. I would go and spend a little time by myself. And yes, I always, and not only Meher Baba at that time, I was interested to know about other gurus and other Hindu god and goddesses and things like that, and to know about them, like Mahabharata, Gita and things like that, Ramayana. I did just read all those when I was young.
What's really special about your marriage is that you got married December 1968. What date was that?
23rd December 1968.
December 23rd. And that is so close to beloved Baba's most beloved disciple's birthday. Mehera's birthday is the 22nd of
one day
December.
Before, yeah.
And so one day before your wedding day. So you were telling me earlier that you developed a connection with Mehera. Can you describe some of that, how after Baba dropped his body 1 month later, January 31st, 1969, after he blessed your marriage, a month later Baba departs. You must have really been shaken by that.
Of course, for me, I did this marriage, life with Dara and moving to England with him and things like that, because Meher Baba had asked me, and here, all of a sudden he's gone. He's no more there, physically to guide me. Or, I could write to him if I wanted to express my feelings and how I'm doing and all that. It was a big shock. But at the same time, Mehera, who was Baba's beloved, she was there to help us and Mehera always considered her as my mother, because she gave me the name Amrit when I was a baby. She was there visiting her home when I was born, and then she helped Meher Baba to arranging this marriage for me. So it's like just like parents would do, mother would do, give you a name, and then later on arrange a husband for you, and everything. Like I felt like she's my real mother than my real regular mother at home. And so, even though it was a great loss, Baba's no more there physically, and how my life will be without him, Mehera's help was, she was there always to help you out, answer your questions when you're in trouble, when you're in good time, when you think, she was always there for me. And now she's no more, and I really miss her a lot too.
Do you have one particular story that you can tell when Mehera intervened in your life, or was giving you some kind of special instruction? Do you remember that?
She did not really ever say do this and not to do that and things like that. But yet, when after we got married, on the second day of our marriage, which is 24th of December, Meher Baba said, I'll bless you with 2 sons. And spelled it out, as Baba didn't speak, so he used to, with a hand gesture, he spelled it out, M-E-H-E-R-W-A-N, Meherwan. And Mehera, who was standing next to Baba, said, Baba, should we call second one Jamshed? Jamshed is, again, it's a Persian name, as our family background is Persian, after Baba's brother. So she will just add to things with what Baba did, Baba said. She will just add to, she never would completely, she would leave all that for Baba, but she will just now and then give that final touches to, so things like that. And then, of course, when we were back to India and visited Mehera regularly, she would tell us, give us some beautiful stories to, when you, as a housewife or your business and this, and then when you're tired, when you're in difficult moments and things like that, she will help you out. Yeah.
Also, there was a unique story about the wedding cake, how Baba told Dara, or both of you, to save what, the roses from the icing.
Yeah.
And can you tell us that story?
Yes, that was, again, it all happened in a few days because we were there just for a few more days after the marriage. Baba gave us, they saved these 2 icing roses from our wedding cake, and Baba gave it to us and said, first he gave me one, there was one pink and one white, have this for your 25th wedding anniversary, and then second one after 50th wedding anniversary.
My God, how can you preserve that?
We did, actually, we did not really, took care of these roses, like in keeping them in freezers and things like that. We traveled a lot, we still travel a lot. So they were always in our bags. And actually there was a time when I really lost them for 6 months, somewhere in Czechoslovakia somewhere, and got them back after years, 6 months later. And when the time came last year, when it was our 25th wedding anniversary, I said to my husband, okay, you have the first one. If you survive, I'll have the second one out of it. But no, we went to Meher Baba Samadhi, his tomb, his shrine where he was buried, and we sat down outside, and I opened this, they were wrapped in tissue. I opened that, and you won't believe it, Fred, it was still not exactly fresh because the tissue was stuck around it, and it was kind of a little bit pressed, but looked really, like just a couple of days old. And I cleaned that with tissue, and I gave one petal to my husband, and I took one petal, and you wouldn't believe it was really fresh. It was like just a couple of days old. It wasn't 25 years old.
25 years old,
yeah.
Icing. Tasted fresh.
Tasted
and
fresh.
So you have this,
it really is, yeah.
And you still have the second rose now, which you're going to take at the 50th anniversary.
Yeah, for my husband, yes, too.
Yeah. Are you taking measures to preserve that one?
not
no,
really. It's kept in cool place, but
that is remarkable.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little about your parents and their connection? They're the ones that really more or less found out about Baba and then brought you to them, didn't they? They brought you to Baba.
Right. Actually, it was my father who first met Baba, who heard about Baba. But it's very funny little story I'll give you about him, how he met Baba. He was in British time, when British were ruling India. He joined the Revolutionary Party, and very active he was in his, for freedom fighters they call themselves. He was sent to prison, and he was 10 years in prison when one day, and he didn't believe in God. He didn't call himself atheist, but agnostic, There is God, but where is this type? So after 10 years being in prison, as a young boy he went to prison, and now he's must be in his late 20s or something. He said, okay, let's try if there is a God. And he said he didn't even know how to pray and things like that. He never believed in God. So he said he just looked up from that room he was kept. Being a political prisoner, they used to be given a room, little cottages or something like that. And he said, just looked up, and he said, Mr. God. He called him Mr. God. Mr. God, if you exist, if there is a God, help me to be out of this prison. And I want to be out of this prison tomorrow morning. And if it's, and he even gave time, say 7 o'clock in the morning. And if it's after 7, I'll say it's just a coincidence, it's not God. It has to be before 7. And guess what? He was out from the prison. Next morning, early morning, there's a knock at the door, and there's this watchman or somebody says, sir, out, your release order came last night, but I got drunk or busy or whatever, and I couldn't bring these papers to you in time, and please be out of the office before the office opens, out of the building before the office opens. So literally, he said he was pushed out, didn't even have time to take his belongings. And then years later, now he was in search for his Mr. God. He just still couldn't go to temple and bow down to statues and all that, as we have those in India. But years later, through some friends and some friends, and he heard about Meher Baba, and he went there, and he realized he's the one. But still, it wasn't that easy for him to just call him his Mr. God. He started following him around. Meher Baba, his beauty, his just the way he was, lots of people used to just get attracted towards him, just start following around, not even knowing who he is. And my father more or less did the same thing. And gradually with the time, when he came closer and closer to Meher Baba, one day Baba asked him, Kumar, I believe you were in jail, you were in prison. How you got out of that place? Because in those days, he said, Baba had called for Mr. God, and he gave the story to Meher Baba, what had happened. And that moment, Baba grabbed his hand and in this way held it on his hand and said, would you repeat it? What did you say? And my father said, I called for Mr. God, and I said, Mr. God, release me from this prison, and for this binding, for being, I'll be your slave, give me any other binding, give me any other imprisonment, but take me out of this place. And Baba made him repeat that thrice. While my father was repeating, saying these words, he felt like he is promising right now to that Mr. God. And he was with his Mr. God, whom he never left. He's no more now. My father passed away a few years ago. And his whole life was with Baba.
So that's how he became a close disciple of Baba.
Yeah, and then he got married, children, and gradually he brought us all to Meher Baba, and we listened to our parents, but it wasn't like listening to our parents saying, Meher Baba is God, you should follow him, and he's your God. No. The time we slowly ourselves, as I said, when I was 14, I myself wanted that, look for him, who really he is.
Your background was, you were brought up a Hindu family.
Yeah, Hindu Brahmin.
Hindu Brahmin family.
Which used to be one of,
priesthood class.
Priest class, yeah.
And so your tradition then, when you were speaking of religious dogmas or rituals, was Hindu, when you said about the temple and so forth, the Hindu type.
Yes, Hindus are I guess my grandparents and all that, and my grandmother, she was priestess, even those days the ladies weren't allowed to be priests in India. But she did. She studied all that, but by the time I was born, Baba was already in our life, in my father's and family life. Even my grandmother started following Meher Baba. So I didn't go through all the rituals and ceremonies and worshipping fire and bowing down to statues and all that. No.
So you're more or less a contemporary-minded person, and you weren't. And actually, like you were telling me early, the arrangement of marriage with Dara was sort of even unusual for you as far as regards to what your taste would be. You didn't particularly want to be involved in an arranged marriage. You more or less wanted to be more or less independent. And did you not tell your parents that?
Exactly. Yes.
And so today, a lot of people in India today don't. You still hear of the old dowry system, but that is so falling by the wayside, isn't it?
It is still there. It's very sad and sorry to say that it's still in certain part of India. It's still there, and there are lots of problems and things like that. But there is awareness. There is, like as you know, even in India, girls are getting more education. They're going out of their homes and things like that. And they're refusing now. They refuse to marry to a person who wants dowry and who want to indulge in things like that. And it's cut down. It is. It's started now.
I'm just imagining looking at you here and thinking of your high school friends who probably knew you, and if they could see you now on an American television show in this beautiful clothes that you designed, what would they think? Could you recall some of your high school chums or playmates in regards to what they would think probably?
No, I keep in touch with some of my friends, even way back when we were like 4, 5, 6 years old. My friends, because a few of them are Meher Baba followers too. But there is a big difference. As I've lived in Paris for some time and traveled and all that, and they laugh at me sometime, and they call me, so you're so Westerner, you're so this, you're so that. But I try to tell them, no, my heart is still very Indian, and I share my, whatever I've experienced with them. But yes, I myself notice there's difference is there.
And you live in the thriving metropolis of downtown Ahmednagar. Actually, you probably live towards the outskirts of town.
Outskirts.
On the road to Meherazad.
MeherBaba's ashram, very close to MeherBaba's ashram.
Where the women have their residence, surviving women, and the men.
Exactly, his disciples.
Disciples. And so do you visit Meherazad quite often?
Yes, we do. Yeah, I like to spend more time at MeherBaba's shrine. Somehow I find more peace, and that's the place I go and spend more of my time, which is Meherabad, which is something like 20 kilometers from one place, from his ashram to his samadhi, we call it. I do go to ashram, and it's always fun to sit with my old friends there, because I lived there once upon a time, and listen to their stories, and ask them questions. They are all full of knowledge and all that, and especially that's what I call them. I have taken a spiritual path, and they help me.
Is there one thing that you can give us as one of your experiences and wisdom you can convey to us in America here who have a yearning to know more about Meher Baba or to know more about spiritual matters in India? Can you convey something to us about your personal experience?
Yes. My personal experience with Baba, I'm not one of those, and neither Baba wants that, like a religion. Meher Baba is not a religion. Meher Baba said, just love God. To start with love, human being, love each other. And that's what, he taught us. And what's happening right now in this whole world and things like that. Sometimes I said, thank you, Baba for me following you, I met you, and, the little message you gave me throughout my life, and still I'm getting, through your books or through your other disciples and things like that. I think I do understand, what's wrong, what's right. And I pray, and I really pray to beloved Meher Baba that other people understand that too, that violence and hatred and anger and all that shouldn't be there. There should be more love, more peace amongst ourselves and things like that, and all these caste problems and all this different thing and fighting over religions and things like that. And that's what Baba kept us away from all that. Even too much of politics he didn't like.
Well, Amrit, wonderful. Looks like we've run out of time on our interview. It was so wonderful to have you. And maybe next time we'll talk even more about, your beautiful clothes and your jewelry. Well, thank you so much.